Leicester Till I Die TV. Watch and subscribe on YouTube and listen on your podcast platform.
Oh, Matt Elliott here.
Hi, Alan Smith here.
Hey guys, Ian Hume here.
Hi everybody, Jerry Taggart here.
Be sure to watch
Chris and Leicester Till I Die TV
For all the latest Leicester City news and information.
You can also subscribe on YouTube and various social media channels.
for the latest updates and news on Leicester City Football Club.
Come on, you foxes!
Back of the net.
It didn't happen in 49, 61, 63 or 69 when they reached the final. But the class of 2021 have delivered. Leicester City are FA Cup winners at last and are history makers at Wembley.
A modern day football miracle. They have blown their rivals away. They have blown us all away in truth. Premier League champions 2016, the amazing Leicester City!
Leicester Till I Die TV. Your first choice for everything Leicester City. Tune in and join in now.
And now, here's your host.
Right, Chris.
All right there, welcome along. How the devil are you? My little friend is back. We'll call him Jack for no other reason than it's a nice name. It'll all become clear later on. This is Leicester Till I Die TV. Thank you for watching. If you are watching on YouTube, please, if you can give us a subscribe, it will be so much appreciated. Do what it says down there. Click the subscribe, smash the lights and click the notification bell. We have got some great shows coming up over the next few weeks. Tomorrow, no, not tomorrow, Sunday, we've got the final day watch along, the Soccer Sunday. Yeah, that's not exactly Jeff Stelling and Chris Kamara, but we will attempt to do our best. We've got a Liverpool fan who'll be watching the battle for the title. We've got an Arsenal fan who'll be looking for the battle for Europe, and the scrap for survival is being looked after by a Watford fan. So it could all go tits up. It probably will, but do join us. And the next week, of course, I've mentioned this before, we have got the Jerry Taggart interview. And it's not an interview about Jerry Taggart. He will be discussing Leicester City's season. So that is going to be very interesting. But you can only watch that on YouTube. That won't be on Facebook and it won't be on Twitter at all. Can you believe this is the last game of the season? Go back to August last year. We all started off with such high hopes, and we're all just kind of here. It's kind of fizzled out. It's one of the few games tomorrow that's got absolutely nothing riding on it. Dare I say shooting practice? I'm probably going to get killed for that. No. This is the Leicester Till I Die preview show.
You're watching Leicester Till I Die TV.
2 are down, Watford and Norwich, and good riddance to them, no disrespect. This team nearly got dragged into it. Only their good start to the season avoided it happening. Please welcome back. He's a friend of the channel. He's got his multicoloured jacket on. It is, of course, Joseph. Oh, I'm sorry, Jack.
Howdy.
How the devil are you, sir?
It's no longer like a shirt that I wear, apart from like Chris is called. Get it, go get it for me. And it's buried at the top of a mountain nearby. I take it out the ground. I'm like, right, Leicester till I die tonight. Here we go. So happy to be here, mate. Happy to be here.
It gets 2 airings a season, if nothing else.
From the smell of it, you think so?
Yeah, I can imagine. Wise old owl, and I know it's going to send us down Jack's back because it's going to remind him of the quiz. But Craig, can you believe it's the last game tomorrow?
I know it seems to have whizzed by, doesn't it? A lot has happened when you look back on the season, but they all seem too short. And even worse, and any female football fans, forgive me, but there's no football throughout the summer. There's the Women's Euros. Let me finish. There is the Women's Euros, so I will be paying some attention to that. But there's no major tournament as we usually see one.
Major? I think you're just digging that hole deeper and deeper for yourself. I mean, we had Brad, who's obviously a co-presenter, and he's got his own channel now, Matter of Opinion, and he did a very good podcast a few weeks ago about should women managers of the women's team, should they be allowed to manage men's football? And I did kind of say, well, you know, if they've got time with the washing up and the ironing, then why not? Why not? Indeed? Joking, everybody. Quickly moving on. Well, it's great to have you back, Jack. Your details are in the description below on YouTube, but where can people, especially the female audience, find you?
I'm over here at MatchDayVlogs. Me and Mike just living our best life, watching Southampton getting sadder and sadder and sadder as the summer hits us. There was one point we were so happy, and then now I'm here.
We touched on it before we came live, Jack. You had a really good start to the season, and I'm beginning to think, well, you know, yourself, sort of Palace, Brighton, we could be sort of a battle for Europe here, and then it kind of all went wrong.
I think that's what happened. I think the first moment a Southampton fan said Europe, the club went, let's start losing these matches because they got expectations now. Because that is what happened. We got to Christmas time, expectations started. We really were like, well, let's look above us. We seem to be getting better every game. We're really improving. Like the defense was getting stronger and stronger, and then we just lost 4-0 against Aston Villa, and it just seemed to absolutely fall apart. I mean, that Aston Villa game was hard to take because that was probably Danny Ings' best game for Villa this season. He was immense, and that really dug the nail in. And then ever since then, it's just been downhill.
It's like sticking the knife in, but that was twisting it around.
It really was. Like if it wasn't for like the fact that Vestergaard and Bertrand had been the other way, it would be an even worse time.
To be fair, though, if 4-0 is your worst defeat of the season, that's a plus, isn't it?
No, I mean 6-0 was our worst so far this season.
But that's an improvement.
We've got. You know what? There was a point a couple of weeks ago where we worked out that if Southampton lost 9-0 twice for the last 2 games, that would have sent us down. I was like, oh my god, no, oh no, against Liverpool and Leicester, is it? No.
Let's just say, can we just have this on record here? That you were the first one to mention it, Jack.
Listen, I'm over it.
Yeah, of course you are.
Because we've gotten through a season where it hasn't happened. So
yet,
I'm going to say there's one more game.
And you know what's really disappointing is that Jamie Vardy and Maddison have really started scoring the last couple of games.
But we've still got Perez, and that was all. He's never done anything since then. So don't worry.
No, don't worry. This is where Vestergaard really makes his money back for you guys.
I mean, here we go then, Craig. I think I said to you the other day, I'm not sure, but who it was I was speaking to, but I was listening to Talk Sport, and I know I'm obliged to do so because I'm on it occasionally. And they were talking about Southampton. I think it was after the booing, and we'll come on to that.
Yeah.
But they were saying that both Vestergaard and Bertrand were big losses to Southampton.
I saw that too.
Yeah. I'm like, hang on, let me make a note of this.
Yeah, that's not the case. I think, if anything, that is the ultimate talk sport. Meaning, if they've not seen what Vestergaard and Bertrand have done this season.
Well, they've not really done much, have they? Because they've been injured a lot, Craig.
Exactly. So how they're going, it's a big loss for Southampton. It's like, was it? because it seemed like a big loss for Leicester as well.
Have you conceded less goals this season?
Slightly. But here's the thing: we've got. I like our new centre back. So they was up until like the Aston Villa game. I thought they were amazing.
Your new centre backs being
Salasu. First of all, he came in this season, and he is the best centre back at the club right now.
He's been decent. To be fair,
yeah, I think he's had some really shining moments, but he's still 23, so there's still a lot asked of him. Yeah. And when those games come where everything's hard and heavy on him, he can't quite get himself to it. So he's a player that would do well with a veteran centre back next to him. Yeah. And Bednarek doesn't really fulfill that role. Bednarek is just as if it goes away, if everything slips, it already slips. Yeah. And then our main boy is my best friend Lianco at the back here. He's an absolute renegade. If you guys don't see his social medias, he's an absolute politician. He's fantastic. He's the kind. When he was injured, he was walking around. Like the concourse. He's always out and about. He's always chatting to fans on Twitter. He's an absolute boy. He's very headstrong in the game. He needs to calm down a little bit. He's Brazilian, so he's feisty. But the last game against Liverpool, in a game where we were a bit of a damp squid, he was one of the better players against Liverpool. He's just at this weird thing right now. Most of the time we see him, he's kind of the center of a three at the back.
Right, yeah.
And now he's starting to come in as the second centre back. So it's taken a bit of time. I think next season to see him a bit more. But my God, he's the boy. So they're not a big loss for me. And our left back Peru as well. As a club that are for fullbacks this season, we've been blessed. Kyle Walker-Peters, Livramento, and Peru, who came in for Bertrand. I said for a long time that for me, Bertrand is a good player and he does a good job, but there's probably more you can get out of that position. And Peru's come in and he's been immense in that winning. Our fullbacks have been our saving grace this season. So,
is it Livramento? Is he right or left-sided?
He's right-sided. He's
right-sided. You've got Walker-Peters still as well, haven't you?
Yeah, so that was the big threat when he came in, is that Walker-Peters is the right-sided fullback, and now we've got this new kid, and no one thought Livramento, this academy player from Chelsea, was going to come in and be a first-team starter. But he did, and he was amazing. And it did force Kyle Walker-Peters to the other side, and we were all kind of a bit nervous, because Kyle Walker-Peters probably, after maybe Ward-Prowse, is the best player in the team, I'd say. Yeah. And we were like, oh no, if he's going to go out on the left, he's probably not going to work. Turns out he's wicked on the left side as well. He can play both sides. He's really great down both wings. He is the better right-sided fullback between the two of them, which is kind of the issue. It's like he is better than Livramento, but Livramento is probably better than Peru. It's confusing to go around the back. But right now, obviously, Livramento is out with an ACL, a really bad injury at Brighton. He's out probably till next year now.
But it sounds like you have a better team than your finishing position suggests.
That's the really it's the headache about it, because if you think about when Southampton came out the transfer window in August, we had signed 3 academy players that no one really had heard of. We signed Salasu, Peru, and Walcott, and you would have looked at that and gone, Southampton haven't had a very good transfer window, plus the players that they lost. So if anything, the team really overperformed the first half of the season. The fact that we were, looking at the top half of the table, looking at Europe, you kind of like they were really doing a really good job. So then we all started to get a little bit of ambition and a little bit of right, this is the level they can perform at, and then to see it so drastically drop off like it did last season. But last season they had the excuse of injury, so this season they don't have that excuse. The players are there, they're fit, we've all got a starting team. But they've just, something seems not to be right, and that's kind of why you heard that booing the other day.
It's always the hope that kills you.
It is. As soon as you're like, oh my God, this team could do something. I'd really like this team. I remember saying to Mike, like, I was so lucky that there's not a player on the team I don't like. I don't hate, like, when you get to like an older squad and you're like, oh, I don't like this player. Why are they still here? I really like everyone at Southampton right now. If they're thinking, maybe, obviously Theo's not playing as much, so you're kind of thinking, oh, why is he here? But it's Theo, so, I don't mind him being there.
You said there, Craig, about the hope, and I think we all hoped for more. I'm going to go back to Bertrand and Vestergaard. And I'd say it from a Leicester perspective, because I was talking with Neil from Beyond the 90 last night, and he was agreeing with me that we both thought that Bertrand could possibly be the best signing. With it being a free signing, we'd lost Christian Fuchs, we'd lost that experience. We knew Luke Thomas was coming through, and we thought, Bertrand could nurture him and help him through. He had a pretty good pre-season. We then, of course, went and got 6'5" who jumped to, and he's 6 foot nothing, and which was maybe a bit of a panic buy because of Fofana.
Yeah.
But then you've got him coming into a team where every week he had to be introduced to his fellow centre back because we've got that many injuries that he didn't know who he was playing.
Yeah.
I mean, we look at them, we joke about them and what have you, but there is more to come from them, isn't there? Or not?
I mean, Vestergaard, for me, Vestergaard would have been better in a 3. I wouldn't trust him in a 2. I think in a 3 where he's the centre of a 3, where he can come out with the ball, again, particularly against teams that are dropping off, because he is decent on the ball. He can pick a pass, and he's not scared to thread a straight ball between lines. But when he's on a 2, he's you're forced to be playing sideways passes, and he doesn't read the game well enough for me. Bertrand, I was never really sure about. I mean, I went over to Burton when he made his debut there, and he looked okay, but it was Burton. And I think particularly at the early part of the season when he wasn't, before he got injured, Barnes was playing in front of him a lot. And to be fair, you're not going to get much help from Barnes in terms of tracking back. So he was getting exposed quite a bit, I think. So it definitely wasn't a season that I'm sure either of those players or the fans were hoping for, that's for sure.
True. And I mean, we'll get the elephant in the room out of the way now, Jack. Your own fans singing "You're Getting Sacked in the Morning" and booing Ralph. I mean, he's got a tough job there, and we're going to come on to James Ward-Prowse in a minute and Spencer's comment. But every time you get a good player, he's got to sell. And it's almost like the fact that he's keeping you in the top flight season after season with everything that's going on is not bad. And what do Southampton fans expect, shall we say, of him if they are booing him?
It's difficult because I don't think Southampton as a club know what their expectations are. Because in this season, what they were saying is, we want to get top 10. It's like, okay, that's where you want to be in the league, but where do we want to see ourselves? In not be that guy, but in like 5 years, where do we want to be with this squad? Because we're building something. So what we're building towards, and it all seemed to us that we're building towards this top 10 club. Maybe we can reach for Europe. It's a young squad, but with some veteran players in there, and it's all doing well. And it's what we were doing the first half of the season is kind of what we all expected, and then that's what we want. That's the game. Like the way we were playing first half of the season. That's where we're like, this is it. This is what we want from Southampton. And then suddenly, not only does it drop off a little bit, but it drops off and never comes back. And it's happened for 2 seasons where it's pretty much the exact same thing, where it's almost top of the league, top half of the table, drop off. And now it's happened again, and everyone's like, right, they aren't their excuses of last season. Okay, you can say he bought players in the summer, but you can't say it was backed. It was, I think, a net spend of maybe 15 million. It's nothing. We didn't spend anything really. I think our most expensive player was Adam Armstrong for 15. Everything else was like 1 mil, 2 mil, plus we got 30 mil for Danny, so we were in the green once again. If you look at his spend over the past few seasons, it's ridiculous. I think it's less than Watford, and it's less than so many teams. It's ridiculous. So for what he does, he does do an amazing job. But then you get to this run of form here, where suddenly all that good hope and good nature, you are suddenly 15th in the table again, and there's a good chance that Everton are going to finish above you after the season that Everton have just had. If that's not good enough, what is good enough? The exciting thing for Southampton right now is that we've got new owners, and this is the first summer with the new owners. We got bought out in January, and they've said that this is going to be a big transition summer for us. They said there's going to be a lot of players in and out. But then you sort of hear contradicting things and saying, well, we don't have an awful lot of money, but we do plan to do this, So for me, after the recent run of form, especially which game was it? It was the Palace game. we were all just livid because the Palace were a team to be taken there, and they didn't turn up from day one. Southampton didn't come out and do anything. So at the end of that game, I was seething. I was really upset. And then the following week, when you all heard the boos against Brentford, it was the same thing. They just didn't give anything. And there was a big division in the fan base. I think it was really a 50-50 split of he needs to go, Ralph needs to go, because some of the decisions he's making in the games, when you're 2-0 down and you're bringing on a defensive midfielder for a striker, you're like, what are you doing? Why are you doing that? And you're doing it in the 81st minute. What are you doing? Like, you're trying to get a point here. What's going on? So there's been real faux pas from him. So he's not helped himself. But it was only a few months ago where they were like, well, before Ten Hag was in, I was like, well, maybe Ralph Hasenhüttl could go to Man United. So it's crazy how like it shifts from one to the other. So
we have totally been there.
Same thing with Rodgers, isn't it? It's like you do well, hitting those top fives. Like, well, he could replace Pep at City and Rodgers, and then suddenly you're down the other half. It's like, well, he needs to go, really, doesn't it? It's hard for us.
Is it a team that needs just adding to and building on though? Because they've not. A lot of those players haven't been together for a long time. In terms of Armstrong came in the summer, is that correct?
Yeah, so you got Adam Armstrong came in the summer, and all the players that have sort of come in this season have done very well. And I think if we all sort of agree that there are players in the team, like I've been using the Bertrand terminology all season of like he is good in that position, but what more can you get out of it? Nathan Redmond, for example, Nathan Redmond's got a great goal against Liverpool in the week, but that's that thing. Is it the first goal of the season in the league? He's got a few assists. Yeah, he does it every so often, but he doesn't do it every week. So it's better play.
Looking from the outside, it seems like you've got a lot of players like that. I mean, everybody's saying Brozier has had a great season, but you translate that to goals,
it's
not there.
He's dropped off. He's the last. It's ever since since the Villa game, he's dropped off. And I think
Adams the same.
Adams
had a really good start, dropped off.
So they just don't know where they are. That's the thing. Consistency is just out of the window at Southampton, and
sometimes that's the thing of the managers. And I think, I mean, I quite like Hasenhüttl, but there has to be that question mark in terms of whether the players are with him. If you're, and I hate to say it again, but if you're a team that have been beaten 9-0 twice, there's a problem.
Yeah,
there's a problem that you can't just shut up shop and see a game out and just plug the gaps and make sure it doesn't get any worse. For that to happen twice, there's got to be something fundamental wrong in the background.
Yeah. There's lots of stuff wrong with just the coaching staff alone. I mean, we don't have an assistant manager. Since when Ralph came in, he brought Danny Rowan, who's since gone on to Bayern Munich. He's with the German national team now. He's fantastic. He was really good at his job. When he left, we got a video analysis come in who seems to be the number 2. But apart from that, everyone else is a goalkeeper. How nuts is that? All of our other coaches are ex-goalkeepers. And they've been there for a long time now with no change. And there's been that, and sometimes you think when it gets to those points in the season where Ralph's ideas aren't working, who's bringing the fresh ideas in to be like, maybe we need to try like this and do it like this. When you
need a fresh voice sometimes.
You need a fresh voice, exactly. So when I look at the grand scheme of things and I think, right, in this summer, do I want Ralph to go and a whole new system come in? Do you think he's one of the most well-paid managers in the league? So to get out of his contract, it's going to be a bit of money. And if you factor that in with having to get another manager in, probably that's how many players you're not going to get, and how many of those players do you think are more of a problem than what Ralph's causing? And then how much more expensive would it be to get a new coaching staff and to get a better number 2? It's things like that. Exactly. There's smarter ways to go than just Ralph out. Yeah. Which is, to be fair, after one of the games, I was like, "That's it. I can't do anymore." But then you have that day of reflection where you're like, maybe I probably shouldn't have gone that hard. Now I'm living in the never zone.
We'll go through some comments. Just say hi to a few people. Coach's Corner. Good evening, sir. Jack Linton. How the devil are you? Welcome along. Is Yuri fit? I mean, I don't think he should play anyway. He's on his way out. Let's give somebody else a chance. Mike, welcome along. Thanks for popping in. Rennie, how the devil are you? Good, Rennie. Hope you are too. Rennie B, as you said before, imagine 9-0 again. Yeah, well, it'd be a new record for us to do it home and away, wouldn't it? But this is the question that I want to come on to. And obviously, we're going to come on to the match itself in a second. But Spencer says here, and good evening, Spencer. Hope you are well. Evening, guys. Do you think Ward-Prowse will move on in the summer? And I'm going to ask that of Jack, and then I'm going to come on to Craig and ask Craig if he does. Is he a prospect for Leicester with Yuri moving on? And why are you saying that? Well, we'll just have a look at some stats about him. But Jack, is he going to move on? Are you going to keep him?
Of course, he's not going to leave. He's been here for 20 years. He's our little Mark Noble. He's wicked. He's honestly, it's he's the captain. He's the Southampton dream of the academy, local lad through the academy. Now the captain. He's banging in these goals. He's about he's going for David Beckham's record of free kicks in the league. He's there's a lot for him.
But he could get that anywhere, couldn't he?
But it's the decision of you're going for trophies. So if he went to a City or a Liverpool, Liverpool love taking our boys, and with Henderson getting a bit older, maybe you could see that. And I think I could accept that because they have to pay a decent amount in Southampton. But when I think of the teams like Leicester, Newcastle, the teams that maybe he that would also somewhat be a step up. But some could say, not necessarily me, but that for those sort of things, is he going to win trophies? And is that is that worth more than being the club legend? He'll have a statue outside of Southampton one day. Like if he stays, he is that kind of Mark Noble level of hero for us. And now Matt Latiz has gone a bit crazy. We need a new one.
Yeah, he does seem to have gone off a little bit.
Yeah.
His TikToks, I was like, he's not been the same since you left Sky.
We've lost the Latiz, so we need something else. So, and the team is built around him, and he's 27, 28 now. So the next team to get him will get him, 28 to 29 in the 30. So he's got, probably 2 or 3 more really good seasons in him, and then it's those twilight years. So it's either you go for him. I think it's you go big or you stay.
Yes, I mean Craig. I mean Brad. Mike says here, never Ward-Prowse has a new contract and he's captain. I mean, we know that, don't we, Craig? I mean, it's not worth the paper they're written on. All it's probably doing is guaranteeing that a certain amount if he does leave. Is he a possible replacement for Tielemans?
Not for me. I think he's a decent player. Don't get me wrong. But and you watch him week in, week out. So all we see is basically highlights, which is basically dead balls.
Yeah.
And what else is there to him other than dead balls? Because I don't see the engine that we need. I don't see the pace that we need. So I see him as being another type of player that we seem to have already got. And that's no disrespect to him. It's about us having something different. And I'm not sure he's any different to what we've already got.
If you can get the ball over past the first man on the corner and over the wall, that's an improvement on what we've got at the moment.
Yeah, but I mean, I think he's
joking, of course.
I think he's come to prominence because whenever you watch Southampton, he is the main man.
Yeah,
he's the guy. And would he be? I think you're quite right. Would he be the same anywhere else he goes? I could see him out the top 6. The only one I could potentially see, he could go to either of the London clubs, Arsenal, Spurs. I don't see Man City, Chelsea, Liverpool. For me, the one that I think who may come a call in and testing your bank balance might be Newcastle.
Yeah.
Newcastle, Aston Villa seem to be the two that they test the willpower because Villa came in for, I think they said 20 mil in the last window, and the club had just laughed that off and were like, how dare you say 20 mil, 30 mil for Danny Ings and 20 for James Ward-Prowse. Who do you think you are? Let's back that off there. But you are right though. Like, he isn't one of those players that can come into a lot of squads and turn the whole thing. He is. He's your machine. He is our engine. He's our machine. So everything works around him.
Yeah.
So for him to come into another team, he kind of does have to not be built around him, but like he's the center and he's very important. He almost has to be the captain wherever he goes, that sort of thing. And there's not many clubs where I think that can happen with.
And is he, as I say, going back to the question of apart from the dead balls, is he all that?
Yeah,
so I don't mean that disrespectfully. I just mean
absolutely.
Yeah.
I think that he is hindered by the squad that he's in. Absolutely, he would love to be a slightly more attacking midfielder and try helping the ball get in those positions. Like he's been saying a lot recently that he wants to score more from open play and from the edge of the area. The goal against Brighton was, you could see how much it meant to him to score from open play. He really went for it for that goal. But he is such an absolute animal for tracking back, winning the ball back. He's tenacious. He really is a great passer with the ball. He's always looking for that for the forward play, and not many players in the Southampton squad tend to do that nowadays. But he's just a warrior. He is kind of one of those, for me, either way I see it. He's not like, I'm never going to say he's like the most technically gifted player in the league, but he is the workhorse that you want in your squad. I think every squad loves those players where you're like, they just sit there, they do their job, and we are lucky that he has this amazing perk that he's absolutely insane at free kicks. Yeah. Like he's almost like, for me, what I would consider the perfect Premier League player. We always talk, the ones that you sort of end up talking about a lot. Like the one I always talk about is do you remember him? I'm gutted it's a Portsmouth player, but what's his name? Yeboah. Oh my god, he was insane. Yeboah. It's just like he's just a tank. He just hit balls really hard. He wasn't good. He just smashed balls. Emil Heskey was a brilliant Premier League player. He hit it. And I love those boys. I love those boys. And for me, Ward-Prowse is just that for us. But
I'd
would
like
he
to
do that anywhere else?
Yeah, I don't think Maddison would stick around if we got Ward-Prowse.
Yeah,
that would be a battle over a free kick, wouldn't it?
Exactly. And although they're not the same position, but I don't see a team where like you say, where you keep Maddison and Ward-Prowse in it. I don't see that working together very well. It's just, definitely not for you guys, for sure. But I'm sure other people are still going to be snooping about. But I think the club have made quite clear that they don't want to sell him. So if they are going to sell him, it's going to be for some ridiculous money. And considering what ridiculous money is in the Premier League nowadays, who knows?
But if you need a rebuild, sometimes you have to sacrifice someone to try and.
You're not wrong, but I think there's other players to go. Your man on the screen there, Theo. I think he looks like he's going to the MLS this summer. That won't be a massive payout, but that'd be off the books. I think Redmond will be worth a bit of money. I think there are players in the squad that we might have to sacrifice and lose. But like you say, that is to gain. And from what the clubs say, there's going to be a big overturn this summer. And if we are going to take a hit of losing some players, so be it. But I really don't think. I think that the club's real intent right now, what they're saying is Ralph is staying and Prowse is staying. Right. And I think if you've said both those things, and like not everyone's happy about Ralph, but everybody wants Ward-Prowse. So if you're going to say those things, you best do them both. Yeah. Like.
So we've got the match Sunday. Everything's kicking off at the same time. Just come to you, Craig. First of all, with Leicester. Leicester welcome back Youri Tielemans and James Justin, who missed Thursday's draw at Chelsea. Both with one was an illness and one was a knee injury. Ricardo and Chowdhury were unused substitutes for that match on their return from injury. We've heard a lot as well about him saying he's going to be playing, giving the youngsters a bit of a run, and they haven't yet. And I'm glad he didn't do it against Chelsea, because I think we'd have probably got them all in and and ruin their confidence forever. I think Norwich and Watford were the games that he would do it. Surely, I'm thinking here, and we're not talking big scores, but he's going to want to go out on a win, because if we can finish in 8th, and this is presuming Liverpool beat Wolves, which. I think they probably will do. If we can finish 8th and had said, well, we're in a European semi-final this season, it is not that bad a season we've had.
Not at all. And that's what makes me think I think he's going to put his strongest team out that's available, to be honest. I think you may see 1 or 2 on the bench, but I think he's going to go. I think Tielemans will play whatever we think about the fact that he's going to go.
Yeah.
And you would hope that Tielemans would want to go out on a high as well. So
I
think
it's a chance for the fans to say goodbye to Tielemans.
Exactly. I mean, again, I said this before about other players. I don't like this sort of rewriting of history that, good riddance to him. He's been fantastic for us. You can't blame someone for wanting to go when the caliber of clubs who are being linked with him come calling. You can't really blame him for that.
And he wants Champions League football, so it's not like he's going to an Everton or a Villa or he's looking at bettering his career.
Exactly, and his form's dropped off a little bit, but also he plays every game. He's not had any rest in the past 2 seasons at all. He's always been the one that he's played. So every player has a bit of a dip, but I think we're going to go strong. So I can't see it being any easier for you.
Jack, it says Fraser Foster and Perraud, is it, are still unavailable?
Yeah.
And long-term absentee Timo Livramento also misses out. I mean, we've just said then, Craig said he thinks we're going to go strong and go for it. What do you think Ralph's take on this game will be?
It's difficult because a part of me, it thinks like you've still got 8th to play for. It is that everyone's got something to play for already this weekend. You got 8th, so it would be foolish for him to come out and with the youngsters and be like, last game of the season, let's just have a bit, just see what happens. Yeah. I would hope he's still going to go out guns blazing. I think Forster being out, I think that's it. If you've seen the last of Forster at Southampton now, he's not got a new contract, so he'll be going in the summer. It sounds like Spurs might be coming in for him, which is crazy, but okay. So it'll be McCarthy, and anybody who's ever watched anything from MatchDayVlogs will know I really don't like Alex McCarthy. He is the conundrum of the bunch.
He speaks very highly of you.
Oh my god, man! You got no idea. There was a Leeds game, right, and Bamford scored. It was about a foot to the left of him, and he just didn't dive for it. And I was sat 5 foot behind him, and I've never been more angry at a player. Just to be like, "Yo, mate, I jumped that far for that shot." And then to make it even worse, it was the first game back for us, half capacity stadium, and Bamford ran directly in front of us and just went like that. I was like, I hate football. I hate it so much. And Alex McCarthy's made me hate football. So, I'm never secure for him being in goal, and I don't feel secure about any goalkeeper who was let 9 in. So, that's...
I was quite disappointed because a certain Mr. Gunn was playing for Norwich the other week and we only got 3 past him.
Yeah, to be fair, when we played Norwich and I think we scored 2, I was like, I wish you really bouted him.
Yeah. I mean, you said you've nothing to play for.
Yeah.
You literally, if you win, you're not going to go higher than 15th.
Nope.
The only thing is between you and Everton, as you sort of touched on before. If Everton can win, then they will be above you and you'll be down in 16th.
That's the only thing we're playing for, is to finish above Everton. And the amount of smack I've also talked about Everton this season, I really, really need that to be the case. But it's just that if every time a team has come to play Southampton this season where there's something really to play for, where it's one of the teams in the relegation side, a team battling for those Europe positions, they've just beaten Southampton, and a team that has a bit more passion and has something going for them, we seem to just roll over for them. So I'm not looking forward to it because I'm just waiting for the season to end at this point. So my expectations are low, but if I'm thinking positive, I'm thinking up. I mean, we played a bit of a different formation last week where we played 3 at the back and two wide, but very, very attacking on the wide players, very attacking, and using Teller as one of the fullbacks, seeing as there's no Perraud. So we are, Peru being out, we need to do something a bit more. So it's just hard right now. I look at the back line and I'm very wary about it. I look at the front line that aren't scoring. It is Ward-Prowse free kicks, baby. That is all I've got in my pocket right now. And I just need to see Sunday out.
Are you impressed that I've managed to get Southampton and Leicester both on this graphic?
It's good job.
Very well done.
Thank you. It's been like that all season. It would eventually come around. I'm going to be honest with you. But it's 31 times we've met in the Premier League. 12-8 to us. We've won 8 at home. Southampton only won 3 away. We know, though, don't we, Craig? We can't take a Southampton team lightly. I can never forget the embarrassment of us playing the 9-0 win before we hosted Southampton at Leicester, and they went and beat us.
Yeah, well, we know old Leicester boy Shay Adams will probably score. You know, he likes playing against us, I think.
Yeah.
When he comes home, so I'm sure he'll be up for it.
And your thoughts, Jack? I mean, can you obviously going to want to go? We've talked about it just then, but you're going to want to go out on a win if you can do. Does it still? I mean, we joke about this 9-0, but I mean, Leicester, we remember it because it's a record and it was a great night for us. You try and forget it because of what it was. Do you think the club have sort of said, "Well, come on, it's over now. Let's forget that and we'll just get on with it"?
I think, unfortunately, I think this is a thing for any team that's outside the top 6, especially outside the top 4, but especially outside the supposed top 6, because if you don't win an FA Cup or you don't, have a good season, maybe finish 8th to sneak into Europe, pundits find it very difficult to have a thing to talk about. And then if you lose Danny Ings, and then James Ward-Prowse isn't scoring the free kicks, they suddenly have less and less things to talk about. So suddenly it does become they're on a bad run again, 9-0, and it's like, come on, like it was a freak occurrence, and it's even more insane than it happened again. Granted, there's nothing we can do about that, but how often does that really happen in this league? How often is it like? Well, it can't every season be like, is this the time it's going to happen? It's like, yeah, okay, it's happened. Let's just move on, but. We do just get laboured with it, and we will always get laboured with it now because it happened, and you have to just accept it. Yeah, and like I said before, like I'm happy that like last season I was when it happened again, a bit fresh, but now we're a season away from it. I'm like, yeah, it happened, didn't it? It was funny, and the fact that, and I look back and I look at when we watched the Man United one, and I look back at how many numbers it did and how many views it got for our live stream. I'm like, yeah, I'm not that angry about it. That's some good traffic right there.
Yes, yeah, indeed. And I mean, I forgot what I was going to say. I've got to say that was it. Got to give credit to Southampton because there's not many clubs would have stuck with Ralph after that.
That's the thing. Like he's lost 9-0 twice, so they stuck with him through that. And now we're going through this bit here. It's like, of course we're going to stick with him, and they're going because I think the owners see so much potential in Ralph, and they really like when they came in. It was very much we want him to realize his full potential here and do whatever he wants to do to how much we can give him. And I don't think that was ever going to change. And then the form's been bad. It has been, but that kind of just makes me more excited for the summer now. And I think. If we can get the right things, if he gets a new background staff, if you can get if you can get an assistant in, our budget for players was about 15 mil last. That was the max we were allowed to go. 15 mil was really our budget, and now it's this summer. It's looking like maybe 20 to 30, which still isn't massive for the Premier League, but for us, that's a huge jump up. So it's going to be more exciting. We're hearing great things from our ownership for the last few years. We had a Chinese investor who couldn't give money in, so he never was. So we had no budget. Sucked. It was awful, but at least he didn't take money out of the club. That's a win. And now we're having a summer where he can have a good spend, and we can really try. But I'm not stupid. In my mind, I am like January. Let's see where we are in January. Yeah. But then again, if you took January from this year, I'd be like, we're going to Europe, baby.
Well, what about the World Cup by then? So
exactly.
Who could be signed? Mike, I've got to say, are you sure, or is he just a very naughty boy? You think this show's just thrown together, don't you? It isn't. It is planned down to the minutest detail. I mean, when you compare the teams there, these are Opta stats from the Squawka website. I mean, the Opta Performance Index, there's a lot of green on our side, to be fairness, and I'm sorry that for some reason they put Leicester with a blue background, red background, and Southampton with the blue. But the Opta Index, 885 to 800, goals scored 58 for us, 42 for you. Accuracy is pretty close. Tackles made, again, not that huge difference. Clean sheets, neither of us have done very well with that this season. Goals conceded, there's only 5 between us. Yellow card. I mean, it's got 0-0 written all over it, hasn't it, Craig?
No, far from it. I won't expand upon that until we get to the scores, but
I don't like that.
But it does have that end of season thing, and you would just hope that both teams are there to have a decent game of football without the pressure that often comes with it.
And I mean, with that sort of, when you look at that, I was surprised how close it was, Jack.
Yeah, I think I thought last season I felt like I watched so much Leicester football. I seemed to watch loads of it last season, and this season not so much. And I kind of feel like your season's a bit like ours, where there were slight expectations and they weren't met. And it's not been amazing. And I think it's all about that consistency in it. You've had a nice little run of form towards the end here. Maddison and Vardy doing the business for you, getting those wins under the belt, those wins that you should be getting towards the end of the season, and you're getting them. So it's like you say, you could end at 8th, and that ends up being quite a decent season for you. Whereas I think a couple of weeks ago, it was a bit like, they could finish outside the top 10.
Yeah,
there was a long time where you were sat, beneath us. I think there was a point where I was a bit too cocky on Twitter, saying where are all those transfers now? Where Southampton were above Villa and Leicester. I was feeling really good about life, and then now we're here. So I do see it. I mean, I feel we both had a bit of a torrid time of it this season. It's just that you've been able to work your way through it better than we can, and I think that's the pinnacle of being, a mid-table Premier League side, is being able to win these sort of games. I said to you last time we were on it that for me, like, of the mid-table clubs, Leicester are the top. They're the sort of, the echelon, like, you should be, be able to almost break into that top 4 sometimes, top 6 sometimes, almost get to Europe, but you're always going to be floating around there ever since, the Prem win. And I always kind of look at that as like, that's what we should all be aiming for. If you want to be a mid-table Premier League club, Leicester is kind of a good place to look.
Yeah.
And this season it's been a bit dropped down a little bit, but yeah.
We have, but I mean, looking at that, Craig, I mean, and we'll have a look at Southampton in a second, but Leicester first. I mean, that is our season in 5 games, isn't it? I mean, we draw 0-0 with Villa. We lose to Tottenham, which we do every season, let's be honest with you. since 15-16, it's just like, Tottenham, we'll lose to this. It's given. Everton to turn up at our doorsteps, having won only 1 game away all season. What happens? They beat us. And then we managed to get a couple of decent wins, but again, against 2 relegated sides. But you can only play who's against you. Oh, excuse me. And earlier in the season, I wouldn't have put my money on a 3-0 and a 5-1.
No, and don't forget, we've just had a tough game against Chelsea that we've come away with a point.
Yeah.
From as well. I know we didn't play particularly well, but we looked fairly solid at the back without giving up too many.
Thank you for noticing that, because I didn't bother to update this after last night's game. Cheers, Craig. Yeah.
You're welcome, mate. You're welcome. But yeah, we look fairly solid, without having any threat, and that's the big thing with most, as you call them, those middle table teams, isn't it? Getting the balance between having a threat up front and not leaking goals at the back, and that's the holy grail. And it's a tough one, but yeah, the fact that we've managed to put some goals in the last couple of games, and as you said, Jack, that Maddison and Vardy have done well. Maddison's had a really good second half of the season. So I think we're coming into it in fairly decent form, I would say. So I think the onus is on us to try and have a good finish to the season. And as you say, if we finish 8th with a European semi-final, when you sit back in the summer, that's not a bad season.
No, I agree with you there. And looking at your last 5, Jack, and we must, I'm afraid.
Yeah. But
actually obliged to.
It's everything I just said. If you look at our results to your results, like the Arsenal game, that we beat Arsenal, we beat Spurs. We got 2 points from City this season. We makes no sense. We played very well in those games, and then Burnley had something to play for. They want to get out of the relegation zone, and they just came at us. The first 15 minutes of that game, we took a couple of shots, and I was like, we should be on for this today. This looks really good. And then Goal, head to hang low. Second goal really quickly. It's over. It's done. Brighton concede a goal in the first 2 minutes. Then another one straight away. Head to hang low. Somehow Prowsey, works wonders and gets us back in it. Very lucky. It's these games here, compared to yours. Like you should beat Burnley in this run. This end of the season. At that point, Brighton, okay, 2-2 maybe, but reality, you should be beating Brighton. You need to win those sort of games. Brentford, we beat 4-1 earlier in the season, and then you lose 3-0 to them at the end. Like, how do you do that? Like that, where's the consistency there? And that's it. It sums up the season really. I wish that there was, you have that a win against Arsenal that makes you look good, and then look at the rest. It's.
I mean, you've only got to look at people's predictions shows and what have you, and it's no way. It's been the weirdest of weird seasons. Let's be honest. I mean, looking at each other's forms. I mean, Leicester home form, we've won 9. We've conceded 22 goals. Away form for Southampton, you've only won 3. So you can see, I didn't realise it was that bad. Sorry, Matt.
Yep.
You conceded 39. Surely that means, Craig, that they're going to get a 4th win again away from home.
Yeah, I mean, you keep trying to get a score prediction out of me. Stop it. No, they're not going to beat us. I'll say that much. I'm confident that we'll want to turn up and put on a performance. And as you say, I think Southampton, they are almost like that, the classic enigma. I don't know what they are.
Yep.
You can be brilliant, and you can be brilliant and awful in the same game.
Yep, it makes literally no sense. I've seen games like when we come out with one half and be like, "That's the best football I've seen all season," and then the second half be like, "Oh, so this is the reserves, is it? Okay, fair play." It's just split personality, and I don't know what this team needs to bring that consistency in. But put it this way, I don't see it happening this season.
Well, let's just have a look at some stats. Oh, not a lot of people know that, as I've called it now. Leicester looking to win consecutive home league games at Southampton for the first time since April 2016. With their 2-0 win in this fixture last season and the 4-game winless home run in the league. So thank you, Saints. Saints have won 2 of their past 3 away league games against Leicester. Ooh, as many as they had in the previous 16 visits to King Power Stadium. It's all hedging towards Southampton. This since beating QPR 5-1 in 14-15, Leicester haven't won their final league game in any of the last 6 seasons. See, there's hope for you, Jack. There's hope for you. Is it me, or has Craig gone very dark?
I have gone very dark. I've gone to the dark side.
You have, yeah. Well, yeah. I thought you were the second coming talking to the Messiah because the light kept shining on you. And I don't know why I've got a Chelsea fact up there, but let's put this one. Southampton have dropped 29 points from winning positions in the Premier League this season. The last side to drop more than 29 in a single campaign were Tottenham in 7 and 8. That is something, in all joking aside, Jack, that is something that you need to address, obviously.
Yep. Oh yes, that's the thing that we've. I think that's the 4th runner. That stat there has kind of replaced the 9-0 for most games. Whether if they can't bring that up, it is that stat, and that stat is the most damning of all. Really, it's you can get in a good position, but you just can't hang on to it, and there's just an inconsistency everywhere. There's a lack of communication, and there's centre backs. We need about 50 of them. If we can just change to that formation, we should be fine. But it's that's you feel it at Southampton games. You know when that's going to happen. It's anytime. Like I used to predict 2-1 quite a lot for Southampton, but now I understand I had to predict 3-1 for Southampton because 2-1 is literally never ever enough. Never. Never. We don't win 2-1. If we win 2-1, we've drawn 2-all. Do you know what I mean? It's not the way to go.
Craig, I mean, there, but for the grace of God, is us. I mean, that is who can forget Brendan Bellend, again in the West Ham. bringing on a certain Mr. Vestergaard, just as the opposition were about to, or West Ham were about to take a corner, completely disrupts the back line, and West Ham get the equaliser. We've struggled, haven't we?
Off his arm. Let's not forget that as well.
Yeah, but it was allowed. Agree or not, it went in. And I can't even blame Vestergaard for that, because I think bringing on a defender in the 91st minute when you're defending the corner is absolutely suicidal. But we've had that problem, haven't we? We've not, been able to hold on to any time. A few times we've gone into the lead.
No, we used to be really good at it. We had a great record, I think, of just grinding out games when we were in front. But
yeah,
I don't know. Brendan seems to have developed this sort of mentality of the best way to defend a lead is to give the opposition the ball. He just brings on defenders, so you lose all control of the ball, and the game's played in your half when you want it in the other half, and it makes absolutely no sense. It goes against what he talks about after games.
Yeah.
If you've got the ball, then you control the tempo, you control everything, and then he takes off your ball runners and puts defenders on, just inviting pressure. So I don't know. You've been the same. We've been all over the place this season. We've all had highs and lows of performances, and you just don't know what the real Southampton is. You don't know what the real Leicester is. I think we're both in for interesting summers, because I think we both need to try and get back to having some kind of identity.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think there's so many teams, and the best teams in the league are those ones that have an identity, and they've got character, and they just work to it. And then you kind of have, like us, that have just lost the ways a little bit. Like we kind of know what we want to do, but I don't think everyone at that club knows quite what to do, and they definitely don't know how to execute it, and they don't know when to make the changes or what to do when that plan goes wrong. And it's just floating about. Just how about we just call off Sunday, and we just have a nice summer.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, let's forget tomorrow. Let's just meet down the pub. What have you? I think we're going to go on to score predictions, because Craig's been saying I've been trying to get him onto that for the last 57 minutes. But I think before that we should have this.
It's time for the Daily Leicester.
Leicester City FC on this day in history with LTIDtv.
We used to have the Daily Arsenal and the Daily Spurs, but I just got bored because how long since they won a trophy, and it was just going on, and I got a bit bored, so we revamped it. And I'm sure you'll remember this, Craig. On this day in Leicester City's history, the 20th of May, 1998.
Okay, that's a bit more recent than I was expecting.
Oh, yeah. Martin O'Neill's Leicester City drew 0-0 at Tampa Bay Mutiny on their American tour.
Yeah. No.
You don't remember we used to have tour? I mean, nowadays it's Kidderminster and Burton and...
What the hell are we having a tour at this time of the season? I mean, even back then, surely the season was still going on. We must have had the last game.
I'm guessing not, in fairness.
We must have flown out as soon as the final whistle of the last game went. It seems bizarre. Is that the best on this day stat you have?
For today, no. All right, I can give you another one for today if you want.
I'm not wanting to sound ungrateful, Chris.
No, I think you are.
As they go, that was a shocker.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I can't rewrite history. There we go. 20th of May. Yeah, this is more your era. 20th of May, 1940, Craig.
Yeah.
Leicester City battled to a goalless draw at Birmingham City in the Regional League Midland Division.
That wasn't better. That wasn't better. Somehow you got worse.
It was a choice of two. And now you know why I went to the American tour, don't you?
Yeah, that was a great choice, Chris. That's why you're in charge.
Be careful what you wish for, mate.
What happened at the club today? That must have been way more interesting than whatever happened there today. Yeah, training, just kick about.
Probably, yeah, probably.
Knowing us, we're probably playing water polo. Every video you ever see coming out of the Leicester training ground, just to show off that we've got a fancy swimming pool.
Indeed.
It's the team playing water polo.
Indeed. If only we had Harry Maguire and a blow-up unicorn.
Indeed.
I'll leave that one to everybody to work out for themselves. Welcome along, mate. How the devil are you? I always say this, and it is in the description. I believe it's now clicked in. Talk's new channel, Football versus Cancer. Get over there on YouTube and on Twitter. Subscribe on YouTube, follow on Twitter. It is a great cause. Football Against Cancer. He does a hell of a lot of just general football stuff. Give him the support. He deserves it on that. Right, the moment we've been waiting for. After those on this day, probably sooner than later. TM says she thinks it'll be 3-1. She hasn't said who to, but I'm guessing. Well, no, she got the Fox there, so obviously it is Leicester. Scott says 4-2 Leicester, but could see it being a higher scoring game, to be honest. Let's have a look. Now, this is, I say, the X-Fox Prediction League. I've gone a bit mad here. I'm not going to lie.
You knew I was coming on, right?
Yes. For Chelsea, there's only me went for the win. And that says why I am bottom of the X-Player Prediction League. And I've got nothing to lose. If I get 3 points for getting it right, I'm still bottom. So I've gone for 4-1. Ian Marshall's gone 2-1. Walsh has gone 3-1. Tags has gone 3-0, and he is top of the league. Steve Lannett's gone 2-0, and Ian Wilson 3-1. Jack, I'll give you a chance to come back, and I'm sure you're going to go for Southampton winning some way.
Of course I am, mate. It doesn't matter what I say, you know, all the build up to this of how bad form has been. Doesn't matter, because you know what? Football's amazing, and football anything can happen.
Yes,
Doesn't matter what. Doesn't matter what. Every predictions I give, it's always Southampton going to win. I don't care what's going on. We could be team relegation. I don't care. It's Southampton winning this weekend. So yeah, for despite everything, for me, I'm gonna go for a 2-0 Southampton because you guys ain't scoring.
Oh,
you will. You're like, don't get me wrong.
The 2, I can accept the 2 because I think you will score because we don't keep a clean sheet. It's the 0 for us that is the big surprise.
Nah, mate, this is Lianco's big weekend, right? My boy, he's going to come out there this weekend. He's going to bring that Brazilian fire, and it's going to be okay.
What are you going to do if you sell him?
Oh, I'm going to cry.
You're going to have to get a new backdrop, aren't you?
It's all right, mate. Green screen. I can do what I like with this bad boy. I've never actually met him, so that's just Photoshop. But you know,
I guess you hadn't met him. In fairness, you know.
Oh no, I have. I met him outside the club shop. It was a good time. I got very excited
when you went for coffee and everything. You know.
Do you know what it was? I've never seen a man with whiter teeth, and I was just like, "Wow, look at those teeth! It's Lianco!" Like, and that was it. Done.
Talking of bronze, tanned, and white teeth, Craig.
You know what I'd really like is if the teams just met beforehand and said, you know what, this is the only game that realistically has nothing on it. Let's have an 8-all draw and then challenge match of the day to not put it first.
Yeah.
Yes. That would be brilliant. But we know we wouldn't be first.
No. Scott stole my thunder. I was going to go for a 4-2 as well.
Wow.
Yeah. I think I hope it'll be an open game where, as I say, just two teams go at it, you know, with nothing riding on it other than a couple of places, a couple of million in prize money. But I hope we just go at it. So I hope there's some goals.
Yeah, brilliant. Well, thank you very much, guys. It's the last one of the summer. We've got a lot of things planned for the summer. Craig knows we've got some quizzes coming up, Jack. So hopefully we will see you again.
I don't know what. I'll get Mike to come on and do that, and I will just be here. And we will really rank up the questions because I would like him to get a lower score than me. If you ever do another quiz,
I'll do a deal there.
I've literally just refused to learn to drive because I don't want to take a driving test after what you've done to me. Like I just don't want to do it. I just don't want to go through that experience again. I'm over it. No more quizzes or tests.
Ruined your life. Ruined your life. We are
pointless.
Max just said, imagine being an 8-8 and being last on match of the day. You probably would be. Jack, thank you so much for coming on. We're going to see you next season. You stayed up, and I'm really, really pleased because I've now got Bournemouth, Southampton, and Brighton all on the south coast that I can get to in reasonable time. Welcome back, Bournemouth. Bus ride away for me, that one. So we'll see you next year. Next season. Just remind everybody, your links are in the description below on YouTube, but just remind everybody where they can find you.
Yeah, come and see us over at MatchDayVlogs. Me and Michael, we go to all the home games, try to stream as much of the away as we can. I believe we've got plans for a big Sunday, live stream. However, I am in a recording studio on the weekend, so who knows where I'm going to be or what's going to happen. But there will be content. Don't worry about that. So yeah, anything Southampton, come see us cry. It's a lot of them. It's just don't watch the last 5 months. Watch the beginning of the season. Good stuff.
You can't just leave that at there, can you, Craig? Recording studio. I've got to ask you that. What?
Mate, I don't. all you need to know: best singer in Salisbury 2012, and I'll leave it at that.
I think we're going to go with a bit of a Ricky Gervais. Fetch the guitar.
Just give me a second. One day, boys. The problem is you haven't paid for that. That's the problem.
That was on the telly the other day. That film when you went touring. It was great. Craig, as always, young man. Thank you so much for coming on.
You're welcome.
Well. And like
You're
I said,
very
we've got
welcome.
a lot of things planned for the summer, so you will be on our
screen. We've got a lot to talk about,
yeah. And of course, if anybody is watching, do not adjust your colour scheme on your laptop, computer, phone, whatever you've got. That is a shirt. That is really a shirt.
Actually, my whole body is just an arrow right now. That's just what it is. It can't. It's not going to sink.
Could you imagine if that was a tattoo? I mean, that would impress me, man. That would
not be the worst tattoo I have.
On that note, I think we should leave it because I don't want to know what it is. Guys, thank you so much. All the best. Thanks. Always a pleasure, Jack. Always a pleasure. And we'll see you next season and see you soon, Craig. Thanks very much.
Cheers, Jack. Cheers, Chris. See you, everyone. Bye.
See you soon.
Be sure to go and follow Jack. He's a great lad. And you can always drop in the 9-0 every now and again. He says it doesn't bother him, but it does. I know. What have we got coming up for you? Well, nothing tomorrow, I'm pleased to say. And then after that, on Sunday, we have got this. Yeah, the final day watch along. I don't think we've ever been in a position where there's so much was ridden on the last day of the season. Who can win the title? Well, my predictions are anything to go by. It could be Liverpool. Who will get into Europe? Would it not be? What's funnier? I'm sorry, Mike. I know you're waiting to come on, but I've got to ask this question anyway. What's funnier? Man United end up in the conference? Or I don't think Arsenal can do it, so I guess it's going to have to be Manchester United. And, of course, who's going to stay up? Who is going to stay up? Are we looking at Leeds or are we looking at Burnley? It goes down to the wire. So that comes up tomorrow. No, it comes up on Sunday, 3:00. Sunday, Soccer Sunday. You know the setup. We've pinched it off TV. I'm not going to lie. And then the following week, it's the Jerry Taggart special. As it's not an interview about Jerry Taggart, it's Jerry Taggart discussing Leicester City's season. And do you know what? I think he's going to be quite honest and tell us. And, of course, he's been to every match. He works for the club, so it will be interesting. It won't be live. It will be pre-recorded, and it will only be available on YouTube. So make sure you're following, subscribing, linking, and doing all the bits below. And click the bell so you don't miss an episode. Thanks very much, guys. If you've been listening to this on your favourite podcast platform, thank you very much. And if you have been watching us, well, even better. Thank you very much again. And I will see you. I'm off to join Daniel's channel at 9 o'clock doing a few predictions. So I will see you over there, or 3 o'clock Sunday for the Soccer Sunday. Good night. Take care. Stay safe.
Thanks for watching Leicester Till I Die. This is Chris saying goodbye and see you next time.
Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
That's all, folks.
Some people are on the pitch, they think it's all over. It is now.